I know where there's some, right here in the hall, clerk.
No, Molly, I have no.
Hello. We have a new radio on the bench. This is a Philadelphia Storage Battery Company radio. And if you've never heard of that, you might know it otherwise as a Philco. It's a Philco 60. From the information I gathered at philcoradio.com, it's probably from 1935. It has a Bakelite bezel and a large size bezel. So I expect it's from 1935. My daughter Ann picked this up at an antique shop. This is one of the most commonly, this is a mass-produced radio right here. They produced lots and lots of these, and there are still a bunch of them around. Here's one. It's a Philco. It's an All-American 5. It's not actually an All-American 5. It does have a power transformer. It's a 5-tube superhead radio from 1935. All-American 5s are usually transformerless. This one does have a power transformer. It looks to be, at initial glance, in pretty good shape. Hard to say until we get into it a bit. There are a couple of things that are mysterious about it. I don't know, mysterious is probably the wrong word. Let me get a better view of the front here for you. There are a couple of things that are, well, first of all, let's talk about what we have in front of us. We have a radio with all 4 of the acorn knobs. This is I think that's the band switch, and it feels like it's broken. Don't know what that is yet. The tuning knob works and the dial rotates. There's nothing between the bezel and the dial. I don't know if that's typical or not. The rubber grommets have worn out on the tuning capacitor, obviously. It appears to be in really decent shape until you look at the cabinet, I should say. Appears to be in really decent shape, but it has some interesting flaws that we'll talk about. But one of them is, I think this has been refinished. And the reason I say that is, in 1935, there would have been a large Bakelite bezel here. There also would have been the word Philco right here, and that's missing. No sign of it there. The other thing is very shiny, and it has these, well, like a lot of old radios, it has these what appear to be chemical stains on it, but it's very shiny finish. And if you look at the top, which we'll do here in a second, the top has this peculiar, what appears to be a patch right here, if I can get it. All right, move the light, so it's not such a glare. That's difficult. But there, I guess. It is a patch, and it's standing proud of the rest of the surface. But if you look at the finish, the lines that are started here go right into the patch. So it looks to me like this part of it has had a full finish. It's been painted on, and including painted right over this patch. The patch, as I was looking at it, looks like it at one time was put flush with this, but it doesn't look like it was ever sanded down and not well glued. It's come up on both edges here, and so is very proud of the rest of the cabinet. This is also a ragged cut here, so I suspect that something happened to the cabinet. Somebody patched it and refinished it. They did a pretty good job on the finish. I mean, it's not terrible. And that'll be one of the things I'll have to talk to my daughter about, whether she wants this maintained the way it is or not. Let me move you once again, and we'll look on the back. In the back, here's the back side of it. It all, it's dirty and a bit corroded, but not bad at all for its age. The power cord has been extended with the inevitable black electrician's tape here. I don't think electricians use electrician's tape anymore. So that will have to be replaced. The grommet that used to be there is gone. Well, it's actually not gone. It's right there, but it's a nasty shape. Faint stock clips, one for ground, one for the antenna for AM. This is a AM and police band radio, no shortwave. It's got a full tube complement. The speaker is in pretty fair shape. It does have a bit of a ding. It's been torn right here. See it right there. But it's been torn there. But it looks, otherwise, it looks in pretty good shape. The label on the inside is the one up here. It's part of it's in place. I'll print a new one. These are available online. I'll print a new one and paste it in there over the old one. It's a Philco radio chassis type 16 code 121, which what they all were. This was made from about, what was it, 32, 33, something like that, to 35, 36. This particular chassis, it's had a lot of changes over the years. I'll have to gather all that together. And again, philcoradio.com has all that information. So I'll gather that all together and make sure that all the changes are incorporated or not. The IF cans are tuned back here, and the oscillator coil. It has some writing or something, and I just can't read it. It looks like GANDSON gift horse. I don't know what that means. And also on third, it says there, D on third, so that's probably a street address. Oh, maybe it's 215 D on third. Don't know whether that was where it was purchased or where it lived after it was purchased. I don't know. Don't know. Interesting old radios. The cabinet, back to the cabinet, it's come apart here. It needs to be glued. There's some veneer missing here. There's a chunk of veneer. There's a chunk of veneer missing there. But otherwise, it's in pretty decent shape. I was looking, when I first got this from my daughter, I was looking at it here. It's got a nice layer of dust in there. It looks like it hasn't been touched. The tubes are all in place. Tube shield, this is shielded. Everything looks kind of original. And then when I tipped it up on its, to look at its underside, I'll show you what I found. The bolts holding the chassis into the cabinet are brand new. This is shiny steel. I don't know whether, it's hard to guess why these giant bolts are being used in here, why they're brand new. Maybe the original bolts just fell out and somebody replaced them with whatever they had. But that, raises the question, has anything been done inside? From the outside, it looks like it's fresh. It's not been touched. From under here, I'm a little worried, but we'll find out one way or the other. And one way or the other, we'll get it working for Anne. So no big deal. The feet probably used to have felt bumpers on them. They're long gone. Those are probably tacks. Oh, maybe they were leather. I can feel something there. Anyway. So we've got a little project for ourselves. And I'm excited. This is going to be fun. I haven't worked on a Philco in a long time. So there's nothing else to do here but take the chassis out of the case. That's fairly straightforward as well. There's no plug on the cable that runs, the wires that run to the speaker. So there are 4 bolts that hold the speaker in. Those will have to come loose. And then the 4 brand new bolts in the bottom come loose. Take the knobs off first, and this should all slide out. So let's start with taking the knobs off and see if they come away. Okay. These don't have a set screw in them. They just pull off in theory. So, oh, that one comes right off. Very good. D, it's a D connector. That's nice. That one came right off. That's nice. Right off. That's nice. And right off. That's nice. So, 4 black acorn knobs. I presume they were supposed to be black originally. Goes with the black bezel. So that all looks proper. Set those aside. Now I'll take the speaker loose and pull it out. Should be a 1/4 inch nut holding it. Well, again, inconsistencies. The speaker has been removed at one time or another. So that nut right there is different than that one. Yeah. So this is the original nut. This is a replacement. Now, I don't know whether it just fell off and somebody decided to put it in there before they sold it. Who knows? But we'll get these 4 nuts out and pull the speaker out this way and lay it in front of us so we can take a closer look at it. Make sure you keep track of your parts, kids. Nothing worse than having a screw fall on the floor and be eaten by the floor monsters, as Larry calls them. Okay, that was the 1/4 inch one. I'll have to get a different socket for you. Okay, speaker's loose. Electrodynamic speaker. And it's in pretty good shape. Very nice. That's the hole I pointed out from the back. It's a bit rubby. I don't know if you can hear that. But we'll have to get something down in there and see if we can clean that out a bit. But otherwise, not in bad shape. One thing is apparently missing is I don't see, there's usually a piece of cork gasket around here on speakers. I don't see that here. I don't know whether it's missing. It seems likely that it's missing. Interesting. I don't know. I'll have to research that. So I can't take this away, but I can set it down. They made the cable long enough you could set it down next to the radio, which is what I've done here. So next I'll turn it on its side and we'll remove the 4 bolts holding the chassis in. I'll tell you what, I'm going to, since this needs to be replaced anyway, and it's going to be in the way from here on, I'm just going to cut it off. That way it's not underfoot. There's one solid grommet there. Set the cord over here. Now we don't have to deal with it. Take these off. Paper, heavy cardboard covering the front of that speaker so I don't bash it in with a finger or a thumb. Okay. 4 brand new bolts holding on an antique chassis. And there we go. I'll set this aside. We'll take a look on the inside in a bit. Okay, here's the top side. The dial is all in place. That's lovely. There's a light bulb here that shines through a slit and a piece of plastic right there, and that shows a light bar on the front for tuning. I have a piece of something right here. Looks like veneer. I have a piece of black painted veneer in here. I'll keep that. This should be a Type 80. Very sloppy in the socket. It's a rectifier. I can't read anything on it, but it's obviously a rectifier, four-pin rectifier. This one should be a .6A7, which it is. Boy, that one's really tight. 6A7. Looks like it's got crayon marks on the top. Where do you see those? How weird. Huh. I don't know. The shield is in place, that's good. I'll take the grid cap wire off. Came right off. The shield should work its way off, which it did. There's a layer of dust in there. This one is loose at its base, so I have to be very careful about getting this guy out. May have to see if I can poke it up through from the bottom. Seems unlikely, but this one, it's nice to see all the grid caps in place. Grid wires are coming off without the cap coming loose. That's good. It's another one where the glass is loose on the tube base. 75 type tube. Oh, Philco original. Check it out. Back here in the corner, probably the output tube. It's a Wizard. I've never heard of Wizard. It's a Wizard tube made in the USA. Type 42 tube. Huh. A Wizard. You never know. This guy Now this tube right here looks like it should have a shield on it. Another of these square shields, like this guy. I'll have to do some research and see whether it's supposed to be shielded. If it is, I'll reach out to the Philco community and see if I can acquire one of these. We'll see. But what I'm dying of curiosity about now is what's under here, and see if anybody's been in here. I hope not, but you never know. So let's tip it up on its side and take a look. Ha! Check it out. Looks authentic to me. Yeah, it looks filter caps. Speaking of filter caps, I presume this is a filter cap. Yeah, it appears to be. So there's one here, two down here. Again, I'm not knowing whether these should be, whether these are original or not. 16 microfarad. I don't think so. Cornell Dublier, 16 microfarad at 450 watts. I think those have been replaced. But everything else looks pretty original. Bakelite blocks here, with capacitors here, here, and here. Oh, here's another one down here. This is a dropping resistor, I believe, and it looks to be in really good shape. I don't see any scorching or anything on it, so that's great. All right, I think we're in pretty good shape. Not a lot of room. On the other hand, it's not like the Zeniths I usually work on, full of broken wires where all the insulation is flaked away. This one, it looks nice and clean, so it should be okay. All right, that'll do it for this video. We've got a project. I'll see how hard it is going to be to get that tube out. Got a project. The first thing I'm going to do is take my DVM and make sure the power transformer is in good shape. Then I'll make sure the audio transformer is in good shape, so that we can, there's a reason to go forward. If this were burnt out, if this were shot, I'd probably stop here. There may be somebody who has a power transformer replacement out there in the world. In fact, I'm sure there is. But that would be not a showstopper, but a bump in the road, as with the audio transformer in here. I'll also check and validate these are IF cans. I'll make sure that there's continuity on the secondary and primary of these three cans. And then, once we have all that done, in the next video, then we'll know whether we have a go or not, whether we're in shape to move forward. So that's next time. See you then.